up, we have the Tom DeSalvo from the voters.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Tom.
So, okay, I'm just going down the list of justice salaries. There's a $5,000 increase. That's based on the action of the town board, elected officials that we need. Clerical assistants.
Christine's just joining us.
Here we go. Turn seven, just arrived here. We just started.
Oh, beautiful.
Your timing is impeccable. So we talked about justice salaries, which is set by the town board. Clerical assistants, regarding the clerks, I believe that's basically a reflection of white collar unions agreement. Right now, we're down one full-time clerk. Judge Seppler, as her main clerk, resigned and went to the school district, and so we're in the process of trying to hire another clerk to take that position. So at this point in time, we have two full-time clerks and two part-time clerks. And obviously, we're going to go to three full-time clerks as soon as possible. And it's a daunting task to recruit clerks and find someone who's capable of doing the job. Overtime pay, that's pretty standard. That varies in terms of whether or not we have trials at night. If we have a jury trial, obviously that goes beyond the normal business day, so that would reflect that. In terms of capital purchases, I'm really not aware of any specific things we're looking to buy this year.
Tom, I think that was the drinking.
Oh, that was the drinking fountain. That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
That's right.
Recently, so.
My clerks were dissatisfied with the 1974 drinking fountain that was outside, so. Right, so Paul allowed us to get it this year. So that was, and I see it's been installed outside. So that's a plus, so that's really a big purchase for this year.
Stay hydrated.
That's right, stay hydrated, exactly. You gotta keep the clerks happy. If the clerk's happy, everybody's happy.
That's right.
So, computer equipment and licensing, that's a pretty static figure. Conference expenses, it's generally the various meetings with the local magistrates association and the state magistrates association, where we are required an additional training that the state requires us to have. That's pretty static year to year. A big change over the years was the court security and contractual court security line. Up to, I believe, last year or maybe the year before, all we had was the special police, which essentially did it for free. But with them leaving the scene, we contracted to a third-party provider. And it's just an expensive service. It's just as simple as that. There's just no way around it.
I think your reason's probably going to be more than that, but this is pretty much what we're averaging, so
It's good.
it's better than expected, so
Luckily we have not had any real problems, but you never know from time to time. They certainly could come up. And you have families of victims come to court and with the defendants in court, and sometimes they have a problem. Small claims court can be explosive. So it's an important service. Office supplies, it's a pretty static cost. And copier and computer software maintenance, again, that's a pretty static cost. In terms of fines, we're we're way down. Part of that, and, you know, we're not in the business of collecting fines. We try to set the fine based on the violation involved, what the person's record is, and frankly, their ability to pay. Because if they can't pay the fine, there's no sense setting a high fine, because they're not gonna pay it. And right off the bat, you know, you start out with a $93 state surcharge on moving violations and a $63 state surcharge on equipment violations. So those fines mount up pretty quickly. But in June of 2021, I think I mentioned this before, in June of 2021, the state took away our ability to scoff people who don't pay their fines. And any casual reading of the Daily Record will show lists and lists of courts across the county. The City of Rochester Adjudication Bureau today, and the list had almost a full page of unpaid fines and judgments. So we take a civil judgment against people who don't pay their fines. And the word is out, really, that if you don't pay your fine, there's really not going to be much of a consequence. So that definitely had an impact. And many of the, not many, but a good number of vehicle and traffic misdemeanors were bailable offenses prior to 2020. That's not the case anymore either. And those bails many times were applied to fines. And that's not around either. So you put all those together, and there's a substantial reduction in fine revenue.
I think we're about half of what we used to be years
Right.
ago.
Right. There was a time when certainly the fines exceeded the expenses of the justice courts. And that was really the result of a plus or a minus, depending on how you look at it, is State Route 104 went through the center of town.
Right.
And the state troopers would, you know, sit out there and stop people. And that's certainly, you don't see it as much as you did before, because I think, I can't speak for the police, but you certainly don't see that as you did before. So a lot of that is the consequences of what's going on in Albany. So as a result, more of it's going to be paid by the local municipalities. So that's it. I don't know if Judge Sepler has anything she wants to add.
I think you covered all the bases, so unless there's any questions.
Or is there any questions of the?
Covered it well.
Any of us? Either of us?
No, no, no question.
No, I think Cynthia did great.